and thanks for joining us for Speak Scotland Part 3, the final in this Tune into Tourism mini-series. I'm Julia Sutherland, and today we're going to be talking about, once again, using the native languages we have here in Scotland as an asset for our tourism businesses. We're going to be tapping into the interest that visitors from across the globe have in learning more about our culture and really having an authentic experience when they're with us. We are very much taking that visitor perspective today. We're looking at what motivates visitors to come to Scotland, particularly in that cultural side of things, the part that language plays, how we can use it as a unique selling point, and also the ways in which different cultures might want to engage with our language. We've got two fantastic guests, both international guests today, who are bringing their insight and experience. First of all, we've got Chen Lee, who's from a DMC, Magna World. And Chen, you came over to Scotland, to Glasgow in 1998 as a student, fell in love with the country?
Yes, and I lived here 21 years now, and all I've been doing is promoting Scotland as a tourism destination and bring a lot of Chinese visitors come to here.
Fantastic. And that, of course, that market, that Chinese market, that Asian market, potentially incredibly lucrative for the Scottish tourism industry. A lot of guests spending a lot of money. So we really want to understand what makes them tick and how we can engage with them and use our language to do that. Yeah, fantastic. And Pierre Cruff, you're from Rockya Events Group. Again, another DMC, bringing guests here from your Scotland is your adopted home, but you're originally from Germany.
That's
and
right,
so you bring a lot of guests over from Germany.
Yeah, Germany and also Europe in general. So Germany is the main country we focus on because of my native language speaking.
And your understanding of it. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Fantastic. And of course, Germany, there's a real interest, there seems to be a real interest particularly from Germans in our language and our culture and our music, actually. We were just talking there about how Runrig, actually, hugely popular in Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I can't add anything to that. Germany is one of the biggest markets for Scotland. In many ways and many reasons. Yeah.
So good to really get to understand what makes those visitors tick, why they're coming here, and how we can, as I say, use the language to engage with them. As well as contributions from the panellists, we've also been catching up with some of the guests who were over for XpoNorth this year. As we're going to hear from them a little bit later on. They were here talking about our Indigenous languages, or their Indigenous languages. As I say, they were from all over the world too. And we also caught up with some visitors, some real life visitors in Perth, who told us about why they come to Scotland and how they've experienced our language. So as ever, we want you to get involved with this session, to share your ideas, your experience, and ask questions of the panel. And to do that, of course, as ever, we have Richard, who is in the chat box. Richard.
Thanks, Julia. Yes, good morning, everyone. Guten Morgen. Ich kann nur ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen. Aber nur ein bisschen. That means I can speak a bit of German, but only a little bit. And that's the only German I can speak. Do please get in touch. If you're watching, wherever you're watching, let us know where you are. If you've got any questions, if you've got anything you want to share with the panel, I can get those questions over to Julia and to the guys. And if you're watching later on Catch Up or on YouTube or on any of the other Catch Up services, then I will be able to sort of bring you into the discussion so it all makes sense when we watch later on. So do let us know where you are and do let us know if you have any questions. Julia, back to you.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, and remember, we are continuing this discussion. If you want to be on social media, use the hashtag #SpeakScotland to share your ideas, share your experiences, share your video diaries. We've had Caroline Gregory from the Love It Hotel, who's been our guinea pig, trying to introduce some Gaelic there, and she's been sharing some of her video diaries, which have been great. And actually, we'll have a final one from her as well later on. So let's get to grips here with who these guests are and what do they want and how can we fulfill their expectations. Pierre, the market that you're dealing with, as you said, Germany and Europe generally, what motivates the visitors who are coming from there, particularly to come to Scotland or generally to book with a particular destination?
Well, I would say starting with the German the German guests for the destination Scotland is very often outdoors. The Germans love the outdoors, but also very often language. English obviously is very normal to learn in Germany in school, so they want to experience a bit. Same with me coming to Scotland. You can forget about that. It's a complete different language. I call it different language. However, the Germans also love the food and drink. As they know their beer, they're also very much into whiskey. And yeah, that's our main focus as well for our company.
And you can see there already how the language comes in, our native languages rather than just English, or our versions of English that we speak, particularly in Glasgow. When you're talking about whiskey, it's impossible to talk about whiskey without using some Gaelic.
Absolutely, and this is exactly the hook for them. They can, well, lots of them can, but few can't speak the words. So we always experience different pronunciations, and they want to understand what it really means and how you pronounce it proper.
Well, how do we look on your website for Rocky events? And on there, when you go to the Scotland site, right in the middle, Faltrigu Alapa, Welcome Scotland, in your little video. So is it important to you to be bringing in the language? Is that something that you're very consciously doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. Not just now, we started that very early, but a few years ago, it wasn't really picked up on that. We believed always in the history and where it all comes from. We also very often use the census for our tours, so we actually use experience rather than tours, and that all falls into it. I mean, coming to Scotland and experiencing a complete different perspective of a country. The country above somewhere England was very often the term I got to hear, and I said, well, no, you actually can experience so much more.
And as you say, bringing in the senses, and language plays a part in all of that, you know, how we feel, what we see, you know, the weather, the geography, all these things. So, and Chen, what about the Chinese visitors, which I know you deal kind of predominantly in that market, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. And what are your visitors looking for then? What are you trying to fulfill?
Chinese visitors come here. First of all, they want to learn about the place. They want to know the capital. They want to go to places, the most famous scenery places. But the culture is very important because that gives them the memory, bring them the experiences. And the icons they're looking for, like kilt, whiskey, like Auld Lang Syne. That's a song that's been translated, had a Chinese version in the 1950s.
Really?
So like my dad, he can say Auld Lang Syne in Chinese. So when they come here, they want to feel these things. They want to experience them. They want to see how is it here, what's the food like, how people drink whiskey here rather than China.
And the reality of what is the authentic experience of Auld Lang Syne or whiskey, or tart.
With the piper play, with the people wearing kilt. That's the experience that we give to our guests. If they want to try the traditional Scottish food, we'll bring them to a castle or castle hotel, have the owners wearing kilt and welcome them and have a piper. That's what they're looking for.
And those things we can see perhaps sometimes as being a little bit of a cliche, but there'll be aspects of our culture that they maybe have never experienced before. And I wonder if languages may be part of that, especially our native languages.
Yes.
You know, how much awareness is there, you know, from your visitors before they get here of the fact that we do have not just Gaelic but also Scots and different, dialects around the country? What awareness is there?
Well, I have to say very little.
Right.
There are very little information of Gaelic or other languages. But when they actually get here, tour guide or we will tell them there are different languages. There are some words they can learn. For example, they go to Loch Ness. Why it's called Loch, not lake? Well, at school we always learned as lake. But when they get to learn, those words might bring interest to them. And then the pronounce of it and how to write these things is fascinating.
And like as you say, you're sort of creating a much deeper memory for them and something that something tangible that they can take back and say, oh yeah, we learned about Loch Ness, and Loch is the word, and the words have different sound, and already you're getting into that, getting a sense of how we're different.
Yes.
Yeah, over here. So, how do you think that sort of this interest in our culture and this word that we keep coming back to, authenticity and experience, those things keep coming up and up again, how has it changed in your various markets over the last sort of 5-10 years in terms of how the importance of that sort of the culture within the package?
Well, I would say a lot. When I moved over here now 12 years ago, it was pretty much very standard. So when you have seen tourism, it was always like big coaches coming to the, first of all, hotel drop-off, then castle, and then maybe to a little village where nobody knows really much about it. And we thought that might be possible to change it a bit. And we started effectively around about 12 years ago using experiences. So rather than just going to a castle, knowing the history about it on the way to, our tour guides got told from us, explain the whole lot, not just about the castle. And that changed quite a lot over the last, as you said, 5 years. And I think everything goes with it. Now you can experience much more bespoke, hands-on, I would call it.
People really want that. Is that something that's, you know, increasingly it's all people really want?
Yeah, the
Would you say
demand
it?
is really, really high. The Germans love to do their homework, so they know a lot already when they come over. And obviously you need to add on that. You need to give them that bit of extra, which obviously, you know, they pay for it. And coming to Scotland, they want to experience it.
And what part does the language play then? As we were discussing there with Chen, how much do they know before they come here? If they've done their homework, do they say, right, we know about Gaelic, we want to find out about that, or we want to hear some of it, or what's their kind of take on it? Before
it's a great mix. Some really start getting into that, especially Gaelic, but obviously pronunciation is completely different. Learning it from the screen or learning it from someone local, which is another aspect we put into our tours, getting in touch with locals. Skye, Orkneys, I mean, this is completely different than speaking to someone in, you know, local in Edinburgh. Accents and all this is all really much getting developed more and more. That is very, very interesting for them.
And they do find that that's something that they're looking for, or is it something that adds value once they're here?
Kind of both, again. Some really know already and they're looking for that language or history, but some just experience it at the airport, different accents. Like myself, came over here and experienced the language slightly different, slang, accents. So yeah, this is a good mix.
And where do you think, well, in broad terms, when you're looking to create these experiences, these bespoke experiences for visitors, what are the sort of the needs that you're trying to fulfill? What are the main things that you're trying to do when you create that experience for them?
Giving them a bit of extra, so something unexpected. Coming over, having done your homework as a German or European maybe in general, they know there is Loch Ness, for example, the monster of Nessie, but what about Dramnarochet, just around the corner, and we have a couple of whiskey enthusiasts, and there's a fantastic whiskey bar, and these kind of unexpected experiences.
Local experiences.
Local experience, yeah. So that's what we feel.
And is that the same then, Chen, for the Chinese market? They want to get that sense of really being a local and really understanding how people are living.
Yes, that's why the question people say, can you go to people's house to experience how they live and how they...
Do people genuinely want to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's very weird. I would say, you need to give me more notice if you want to do that.
Yeah, I need to tidy up, yeah.
Yes, but yes, and they want to feel the connection. They want to feel connected. They want to feel warm, welcome. They want to feel that... and they're not just being here; they actually live here. And same like if somebody visits other countries, you apart from seeing all the great sceneries, the attractions, you want to see how they really live. And the language is a very important element in that. So exchange, if Scots learn a few words of Chinese, and then also exchange a few words of their native language, that takes a connection.
So, and do you think that that's important for Chinese kids? Does it make an enormous difference if you have made an effort to learn a few words of Chinese and then also be able to share a few words of our native languages? Is that something that really makes a big difference? Or
I think it's very important for Scottish tourism, because people. The best way of marketing is word of mouth, and in China, the visitors will put it on their social media. So without just us putting in social media promote Scotland, they spread the word, they spread their experiences. That's very important to us.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you talk on the one hand about these sort of, as I said, sort of cliched notions of what Scotland is before they come, but at the same time also, you know, wanting to see castles and kilts and, you know, and drink whiskey, but on the other hand, wanting to really get to know a place and visit someone's home. I mean, that's incredibly intimate, really, isn't it? And is that intimacy something, do you think that's particular to Chinese culture? Do you think they're different in that way to maybe other visitors who come from different places in the world?
I think they all want that, but because China only opened up since the 1980s and 1990s, people start to traveling to abroad. And to be fair, Scotland is a very far country to them, and it's not easy to get to here. So when they get here, they want to know more. The curiosity for them want to know more about Scotland deeper, and because both Scotland and China have 5,000 years of history. And there's not enough of information given to them, so when they get here, they want to know more.
Okay, and it is, I guess, a once in a lifetime, or certainly once in a decade.
To a lot of people, yes.
Trip.
Yes.
Yeah. So they really want to make the most of it, and they want to, you know, eat it all up, drink it all up, hear it, you know.
So that's why they think when they get here, our shops close at 6, don't open a lot on weekend or festival, but they want to spend 24 hours out there to see and experience and talking to people.
Mm-hmm. So you want to be taking advantage of that desire to, you know, experience and spend money.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We are, you know, running businesses here. And Pierre, what about the German or the European market there? I mean, obviously it's much easier to get to Scotland from Europe. So there's maybe not the same, like, I don't want to say desperation to like get to know everything and you have to do it all in this one trip. You know, people are coming maybe back more than once, but what's making them come back?
I mean, the desperation is very similar, to be honest. People want to see, as I said before, and as she said as well, going to locals in the home. We actually use that situation. We bring people to other people's home, cook with them. Scottish ingredients, getting the dishes, you know, get to know the dishes. But yeah, it is closer to travel, but it doesn't mean really that they want less. It's exactly the same. They are desperate to experience the whole lot. What they have then, obviously, as a benefit, they come quicker back. Very often they come on their own, camper van or even by car. So this is obviously for us personally a challenge because it is very close. They fly for the first time and they might think, okay, I can come back myself, and I drive. And this is then a complete different kind of tourism we tap in.
But if you're creating those connections in the first instance, then even if they've come all the way from China, they might come back in another 10 years' time because they feel, you know, that they have that intimate, you know, connection with people, the people of the country and the culture. Well, we, during, as I mentioned earlier, during this year's XpoNorth, our team took the opportunity to speak to some of the panellists who were taking part in a session which was all about Indigenous languages from all over the world. Here is Sophie Stevenson, who's from Solnarostic, talking about the importance of Gaelic in tourism.
I think Gaelic has a huge international appeal, particularly in the last few years with things like Outlander and Gaelic being included there and in mainstream media. And I think as the world's moving towards this global village, people are looking for authenticity, and they're finding that in native cultures and native languages. A lot of people that come to learn Gaelic, they're heritage learners, so they've perhaps, they're a few generations ago, their family emigrated from Scotland to live in somewhere like North America or in Australia, and now they're wanting to connect to those roots. They're wanting to connect to that sense of identity and the sense of self, and the language is one way in which they're able to do that. There's a connection there which I think goes beyond a superficial layer of. I guess it's more authentic, and it goes beyond touristic kind of stereotypes, and on a deeper level. And the reaction you get from people when you can speak even just a word or two of their language, particularly when it's a minority language, just a deeper level of connection altogether. I think more so people, when they come to Scotland, they're wanting not just the sights, but also an experience, and they want to feel. They want to experience the Scotland they're seeing in films, and they want to get that authentic experience. So in the same way that when I might go on holiday to France or to Spain, and you get off the plane and you're in Spain, you're okay. It's a bit warmer as well, but you're also you're hearing and seeing Spanish, and there's that part of that cultural experience of feeling in a foreign place, and that's what people are looking for, right, when they go on holiday. And I think that we could use Gaelic more in Scotland to give people that experience, to give that people that experience of otherness, that experience of travel and of learning. And I think that's what people are wanting and needing, and I think there's a lot more that could be done. I think it's great that we've got the road signs in Gaelic. I mean, especially the Highlands, most of the place names come from the Gaelic, so that makes sense. So it's educational as well as actually the actual name of the place. But also it gives tourists an experience, and I think that there could be a lot more done, even if it's just a simple fáilte, to welcome people to your establishment, on the sign, or even if people could use more Gaelic. I think a lot more could be done.
Sophie there from Somerostic. So Chen, Sophie was talking there about the Scotland that people see in films, for example, and wanting to have that experience in person, in the flesh. What is Chinese experience of Scotland in terms of film and our media?
Well, film is a very important way to broadcast Scotland, and the famous Harry Potter, 007. So we grow up with these films. So we want to, when they come to here, they want to go to those locations to see how it's filmed, and when they get to these places, they found Scotland is actually more than that, more than just what film gives them.
Mm-hmm. So they're surprised in a good way about how much better it is.
Yes.
And we were talking earlier about when they get here, they want to go to this ice cream shop in St Andrews because it's the #1 thing on the Chinese version of TripAdvisor. And of course, social media is so important as an influencer on people's decision making. We talk about it all the time here, but we tend to talk about the channels that we know. And of course, in China, they're very different social media channels. What tell us about what you use over there?
This is what I want to introduce to people, and all the suppliers that we need to learn together. Because in China, we don't get access to Facebook, Instagram, this kind of social media we use here. But we have WeChat, Weibo, Red, and TikTok. Okay. People will get influenced from the information on these social medias. They will see these places, they will see other people's experiences. But when they make a decision, they want to book somewhere, they go to a website called Dianping. It's similar to our TripAdvisor, to see which shop, all these places are famous, so which shop is ranking at the top, which hotel get the best reviews, maybe even the hotel provides a small pack of Chinese tea, that will be rated into the reviews and they give them to higher ranking. And then so they make decisions after they get influenced, but look at the ranking. They want to have the best experiences.
Which is very much how, people are making decisions here. They're seeing things on social media. Increasingly, we talk about Facebook being the most important, probably, marketing tool in terms of really being able to target those visitors and people that you're looking for. But, as you say, in China, there is no Facebook. So we need to be understanding, as you said, Dianping, 400 million users.
Yes.
WeChat, one of the social media channels, 1 billion monthly users. That is huge. And if you're not on there, and if you're not even aware of that, then you're sort of missing out on that opportunity.
Well, what we do just now is also it still works because the number of people from China come to Scotland has been increased from 140% in 2016 to 17, 150% from 17 to 18.
So it's going up.
It's going up,
yeah.
And then people visiting distilleries. There's a study of people visiting distilleries has increased 210% from 2016 to 17. That tells you we have done a lot of work and it works, but there's more because we still want more of people coming come in and to try these things. And through the right channel, that number is not going to stop rising.
And so if we are using our language and showing off, you know, what our cultural differences are, we could really be tapping into that in a way and helping us to stand out.
Yes.
Yes. And we talked about, Sophie talked there about minority languages. People coming from countries with other minority languages are sometimes even more interested in finding out about ours. And in China, there are a lot of minority languages, aren't there?
Yes. China registered the dialect. There are 80 registered dialects. Language cannot always be translated, but from pronunciation, the way of writing, there's always similarities. We just need to find the similarity to make the connection.
It's a funny thing, isn't it, when we talk about people want to come and have a really different experience and see how our lives are different, but at the same time, they want to see themselves and they want to be able to relate. And as you say, oh, I have a minority language, you have a minority, tell me about yours and let me share that with you. Pierre, we talked about whiskey, and this is something that you're quite passionate about yourself personally.
Yeah, I am.
And the using the language in there is unavoidable, and of course telling the stories of the provenance of whiskey, you know, from where it comes from, the water, the geographical location, it brings in that storytelling. And storytelling is such an important aspect, isn't it, of how you hook in people and get them to want to come over here.
Absolutely. Storytelling, particularly in whiskey, is very important because, as you said, water source, it starts everything with water. And what is, you know, where does whiskey comes from? Water of life. So people start to connect in certain different ways. Again, the language aspect comes right in. Very often the Gaelic, and then the interest is there again for the translation. Why is it related to a glen? So whatever comes with the whiskey is very important for our market, definitely.
And do you feel like there are trends towards, you know, people getting more involved in language? Is that something that you're seeing?
Yeah, very, very much. People want to learn Gaelic. Lots of Germans.
So they do actually want to learn the language rather than just get translations.
Yes, definitely. I mean, it's very funny that you mentioned that because where I'm coming from near Bonn, there's actually a Gaelic centrum. So by all means, there's a school for learning Gaelic.
In Germany?
In Germany. And the tutor there teaches Scottish people in Gaelic, which is, again, he's German, but he teaches Gaelic. So you can see there's a deep connection. People really love to learn and to experience even language connected to history.
It's funny, isn't it? I think because the markets you're dealing in are all bilingual, at least bilingual, if not multilingual, which we're not necessarily as great at here, and you know, American markets aren't necessarily coming from that. But if you already have a couple of languages, you tend to be much more interested in learning about another one, which you would think would be the opposite. It'd be like, oh, enough. There's enough going on in this head. Well, we could go back to XpoNorth now, where we're getting another global perspective. This time we're going all the way to Hawaii. As we said, we'd asked these panellists about the importance of using native languages in their own cultures. And this is Nalehu Anthony from OETV in Hawaii, and here's his take.
I think what Hawaiian language does is it makes Hawaii different than any other place on the planet. It's obviously critically coupled to the culture there, but it's also, I think, one of the ways in which the tourist industry defines and separates themselves from the pack with respect to how different Hawaii is. One of the things that we have in our Hawaiian language arsenal, if you will, is that none of the traditional names of places, of streets, of highways, of the traditional land systems have been translated into English. And so we still have a vast amount of Hawaiian words that are used just in giving directions. You know, just in people going out and seeing the countryside, which I think is a huge advantage to getting people to try the words and try the pronunciation and figure things out. When you look at just some of the place names that we have, there are stories behind those place names. So in just learning a place name, you'll learn about the English definition of that place and why it's called that. And so it's a very easy way for people to start to again try out the language, but also to have them lean in and say, "Oh, that's really interesting. I want to know more." Right. Well, what we're seeing now, right, which is a very interesting thing, is that many businesses, both in the kind of the traditional tourist industry as well as those that are subject to, right, that access with visitors, many of them are trying to get to a place where they are engaging language with more regularity and with more authenticity. And so I would hate to say that they're just trying to become more Hawaiian, but I think what they're trying to do is provide visitors with a more authentic experience that visitors expect.
That's what I call a Hawaiian shirt. So, Nala, oh goodness, I can never say his name, Na'alehu. That's the difficulty, isn't it, sometimes with the language, is the worry that you're going to mispronounce words. And it's quite difficult, especially when it doesn't necessarily roll off your tongue. And you really practice and you really try, and then you mess it up. Is that something, that you have people worried about saying things incorrectly, particularly, as he was talking about there, the unavoidable use of the language with place names or, street names or whatever it is? Is there a fear there that people are going to get it wrong? Is that something that they're worried about?
Yeah, I mean, it is very often kind of a barrier as well. Mm-hmm. Although people want to learn it, they want to hear it from the locals first, want to get used of, and then start talking it, start learning it. But yeah, especially with the German market, a lot of English pronunciations, even with the Gaelic one, is very different. Although we have.
You said Drumnadrochich there really beautifully. So
yeah, well,
I don't know.
It helps the German language, obviously.
It's quite similar.
Similar, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that helps as well, having these kind of connections within the language as well. Mm-hmm. But yes, it's language, again, I can just repeat myself, it's very important for the Germans.
Mm-hmm. And Shen, I don't know how different Chinese is from Gaelic. Is it something that feels is a challenge, or is it something that Chinese people enjoy being able to the sense of feeling different words in their mouth, if you know what I mean,
Yeah, they find that's very interesting and very fun. Similar to the word Pierre says, loch, the we don't have that pronunciation. Yeah. But I had a family and kids in the coach and try to practice that word for ages in the coach. Yeah. And that will give them memory from Scotland, that learning these words. And I go up to Orkney and the Highlands a lot as well. The writing is also interesting. So, for example, if we have translated some words from English to Gaelic to Chinese, also verse-wise, and that will give them some experience as well, make them feel more interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have to think about other people's languages as well when we're thinking about our own languages as well. So. We talked about the importance of Scotland being represented well and being sold through film and through social media channels, and film is something as well that appeals to the German markets. In fact, music's another huge one, isn't it?
Or the combination, film music. I mean, obviously, Outlander is definitely a topic here. Outlander have been very, very big in Germany, so a lot of people followed what's going on with Outlander, wanted to see the places. Although it's a bit, you can get this mixed up, Falklands and, Highlands, and, within the series is, film destinations are different from what the actual real life is. So, but however, they wanted to see Highlands, they wanted to see what are the Highlands all about, and it always comes back. Outlander, I think, brought a lot to Scotland, a lot of fans coming over. Not just the American market, also the German, European market.
And the Chinese market too.
Yes.
Yeah. Richard, have we got any comments coming in from the chat box, particularly on any of the subjects we've been talking about?
Yes, Julia, we have, just morning again to everybody who's watching. We've got Mary McKinnon who's watching Mary McKinnon's on holiday in Dubai, but she's still watching. Good effort, Mary. And she's got holiday cottages that she rents out just south of Oban, and she says that she leaves CDs in the cottages with different types of Scottish music on them. So she's like, the example she gives is the Oban Gaelic choir, and accordion and fiddle music, and she says it really sort of sets up conversation with her visitors, and they listen to the music, enjoy the music, and then want to know more about, you know, where they can go to an authentic Scottish ceilidh or that kind of thing. So that's a good tip. And Maggie Smith is also watching, and she says she's enjoying the chat and looking at it from a German and a Chinese perspective. She's enjoying the webinar immensely. Well, we're enjoying having you watching too, Maggie, so thanks very much indeed. Julia, back to you.
Thank you very much, Richard. That is, that's a good idea, isn't it? To, even if you don't necessarily, you don't need to learn the language yourself. You don't need to have loads and loads of information in your head. If you can point people to resources, if you can point people to a local person who can speak the language if they want to hear it, or if you can point them to, you know, somewhere where they can go and find more information, then that's you know, good. That's good enough. We did go out to Perth. I had a little trip on the train. It was very nice. It was a lovely sunny day. I went to have a bit of a chat with some real life tourists because I wanted to find out what their take was on the importance of language when they were booking their trip and their own experiences whilst they've been here. So here's what they had to say.
I didn't know much, especially about the language. I did visit Ireland last year and had a few experiences. They taught us sláinte and some different words like that. There were a lot of signs that had both English and Gaelic, so that was really neat that it was just kind of out in the streets and in the pubs that you could see what different words were. And of course, you know, people just being friendly enough for us to ask and say, how do you pronounce that? Or, you know, things like that. And then we also had some just really brilliant tour guides who took the time to teach us some local phrases and things like that that were kind of fun to practice. I recently learned that my family is from Perth, and so on my mother's side, and so it's been really fun to kind of be here and seeing it through that lens. It's important to know sort of where you came from and just that history, and the language is a huge part of that. And you know, my family's storytelling is a big deal, and so just hearing that native language is really cool.
I've been over Europe a little bit, and just wanted to come see something different, see some more scenic land as opposed to, you know, busy Paris and other big cities. So yeah.
So I suppose maybe for you, like learning about how the language ties into the landscape might be a great in.
Yeah, that'd be good. I mean, it just definitely shows you that cultural influence that it's had. I mean, it influences your food, your drinks, just kind of everything that you're seeing as well. So just the cultural influence of the language is pretty interesting.
Place names, I have a lot of history in the other languages, and that's interesting to know about how that started, what was the reason, and yeah, that's interesting. Not to learn the language so much, but more how did things develop.
It helps out a lot, I guess, just to know where people are coming from, or just even some slang that people use that you don't necessarily pick up, especially when people are talking fast. Just to understand, like, you know, why things are the way they are, you know. I guess in Germany they call it the way.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting, like especially when the street signs or the place names and stuff like that, if there's some history behind it and how to pronounce it. We've come for the McDougall International Clan Gathering in Oban. I know bits and pieces from way back, I guess from time of 1300, like with Robert the Bruce and all that, and our quarrel with them and the camels.
So you're really interested in history.
Yes.
And also your connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know most of my Gaelic, if anything, is from Outlander. We often will sit with a scotch of an evening and put on an episode. It's lots of fun.
Those two things, Outlander and whiskey, coming up again and again. So interesting there, we saw some Americans, Canadians, Dutch, and very much reinforcing what we were just saying, those connections, different people wanting different things, some people wanting to just understand the translation of place names. And I have to be honest, of all the people that I've spoken to, that's the one thing that keeps coming up again and again, place names. We want to understand what's the translation, what's the history of that. Personal connections to the past, you know, family connections, as Sophie was talking about, heritage learners. So it's really interesting. I guess different people have different needs. Richard, I believe there's a question coming up in the chat room.
Yes, there is. Just waiting for the camera there. Yeah, no, it's just again, Mary in Dubai must be keeping out of the heat over there. She was just saying she gets a lot of German visitors to her holiday cottages, but very few Chinese visitors. So she was just wondering, I guess you'd like to tap more into the Chinese tourist market. So I was just wondering if there were any tips from the panel about how to... got another question there. If there were any tips from the panel about how to tap into the tourist market, the Chinese tourist market particularly. Julia.
Yes, Chen, obviously that's the question on a lot of people's lips. We see this potential here. We talked about the social media channels and really being aware of the fact that they are looking in different places. And I think maybe we could put up that slide which has got some of those on there. Mary, you could perhaps have a look, take a note of those. We've got the WeChat and
Weibo.
Yeah, Weibo, and then of course the TripAdvisor, which is the important one. How can you get on there? How can you actually tap into that market then in practical terms?
In general, Chinese market is huge. It's very unique. The cultural differences. To promote yourself or promote Scotland altogether, first thing is we need to work together and we need to learn more about the similarities, about how to do these things. Recently, we have Scottish Enterprise deliver some seminars or trainings to every area. Those workshops really helps. But after that, if you want to know how to register WeChat, how to register Weibo, how to make your ranking go higher, there's a lot of studies you can learn from Google, or you can ask questions. Get in touch, and I'm glad to help. I would willing to help.
Well, okay, you said it.
Yes.
That's great, that's fantastic. And actually quite often that's the thing, it's finding someone who really understands the market, who can help you tap into it. What are the sort of main messages, the main things that people are taking away from these sessions that you were saying Scottish Enterprise were running? What are the sort of core messages about how to reach that Chinese market?
Is the Chinese market is there's a challenge, but I always say to suppliers or people who want to tap into the Chinese market, you need to think of what you really want, how much business you want, how much effort you're ready to put in, how much involvement. The Chinese market is 24/7. The time differences and the speed that they work, the culture's differences. So the more we learn, the more we will know how to do these things. And then with expert helps, with Scottish Enterprise or Visit Scotland's helps, then we can grow together, and we have to work together.
What do you think the main difference is then between our cultures? What's the one thing that people don't understand about China that they need to understand, particularly within tourism?
Convenience. Okay. Because in China, everything is fast, everything is quick. You can book and cancel in hours or minutes, and the shops can open for 24 hours, restaurant will stay there until you want to go home. So all these conveniences is
part of what your expectation is.
Yes, yes, it's the customer's expectations, and with our system, we don't give that there. So that's one thing they feel a little disappointed and want to how we can add on more activities, we can hire places. That's what we're learning as well.
That's interesting. So you guys are just non-stop.
24/7.
24/7. And we need to be able to provide that experience, because we don't want people to come and be disappointed, especially when they've come all that way. And Pierre, what about cultural differences then in terms of Germany or Europe? What do you think are we not understanding that we should understand better?
The Germans are very efficient. We know this,
really?
But exactly, we know it. But when it comes to bookings and also times, we are very similar. It's very fast, and especially with social media, with the World Wide Web. And everything is very, very quick. With the knowledge that come already to you, you need to deliver something on top. You can't just offer something they could book online easily. Obviously that's what we're here for. We want to give the little bit extra, the connection to locals. We know, we are very aware of that people book regular themselves. That is part of their experience. But expectations, you said it very well, that's definitely something I shout out loud, is very high. And if we can't deliver, especially in the whole industry, then it's getting difficult. Quality standards is another word. In Germany, it's a very high standard for hotels. 5-star over here doesn't mean 5-star there, so it's very, very different, and we need to convince as well. We need to convince that it is different, but it is part of the experience.
And it is worth making the effort because there's a huge sort of untapped potential, incredibly lucrative, market there. Yeah. Okay, well, I think we're running out of time. I guess I just wanted to very quickly talk about sort of the best ways, in your opinion, to engage the language for visitors from your different markets. Pierre, what would you say in terms of the German, the European market, what would you say would be the number one, the best way to bring in language in terms of what you're offering visitors? Is it storytelling? Is it translations? Do people want to learn the language, or do they just want to hear, get a sense of it? What are the best ways to do that?
I mean, I think it's finding the right mix, a bit of everything. So the translation is obviously very, very important to understand. First of all, what is that word saying? I think getting the experience working with a language as well, coming to a B&B and having a bit of Gaelic there, always reflecting the language is actually there. Although to the outside world, it seems that Gaelic is dying. I think we know better. It is coming up.
Well, it's
very
not just
much.
Gaelic either. There's Scots as well, and the dialects, because depending where you are in the country, it might not be Gaelic that is native to your area. And the storytelling aspect. When I phoned you the other day, you'd just come out of a meeting with a storyteller. Was it from Sky or was it?
No, actually from Fife.
Oh, from Fife, sorry.
Yeah, from Fife. So even then, it was just a couple of weeks ago, I think. I learned quite a lot. Where I'm based used to be a centre for Gaelic language in the Lowlands. So here we go, every day is a school day. Even I didn't know that so far down in the Lowlands. So connection. I mean, even for myself, I connect with people who learn the language, who speak the language. I want to learn it myself. I have a relatively good idea about Gaelic, but by far not fluent. So I want to get there to understand, to get this experience.
And you have that fascination, you have that interest.
Yeah, probably like the Germans have in general. Yeah, there is some certain interest in learning more, definitely.
And Chen, just very quickly, I guess we spoke about this earlier. That experience of trying out the words and making new sounds that you've never made before in your own language is part of creating memories, and that's a really great way to engage. Yeah?
Yes, just talk to them, exchange a word, ask the visitors what's their dialect, because apart from Mandarin, there are 80% of people in China have their own dialects. So ask them what they speak, how they speak hello or things, and then exchange, teaching them a few words. I think that's the best way. And be more chatty, be more connected, and communication.
So yes, making those connections, that's another word that keeps coming up. It's authenticity, experience, and connections. And I guess that's going to be the same the world round, wherever you're from. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We are definitely out of time now. We will have Caroline's final video is actually up on social media. You can have a look. If you look at the HIE Facebook page, you can find out how they got on there, but they did a very good job. We're very proud of them, and hopefully they're going to continue to keep the language going and introducing a little bit more in what they're doing at the Love It Hotel there. And thanks very much to them for having us for the last two. So that's it. Thanks very much to all our guests and contributors across this little series. We did have Caroline Gregory from the Love It. We had Donna McSween from Lewis from Lot, which is on the Croft, David Cooper from Shetland, Ailey Cormack from the Isle of Skye, Rob McKinnon from There to Hebrides, and of course Chen Lee from Magna World and Pierre Croft from Rock Events Group, who joined us today. Thank you very much, guys. And thanks to you for watching. We want to keep those conversations going. As I said, if you're on social media, use the hashtag #SpeakScotland. There will be coming soon. We are going to have one place, a web page for Speak Scotland, where we'll have all the resources in one place, which will be really easy for you to navigate, will be really intuitive. We'll have everything on there for you to use. So if you are thinking about ways that you can start to engage with your visitors using our native languages, there's going to be lots of suggestions on there for ways that you can do that. Really nice, easy to use stuff. So make sure that you're signed up. Well, obviously you are because you're watching this, but spread the word, share that with other people. Collaboration is so important, as Pierre was just saying there. And if you want to get in touch with your suggestions, your contributions, your questions, you can use the email address that's speakscotland@hient.co.uk. So please do keep the conversation going. And keep your eye out on social media channels and on your email, where we'll be getting in touch with you to let you know once that Speak Scotland resource is in place. But for now, we'll look forward to seeing you for the next series of Tune Into Tourism webinars. I've been Julia Sutherland. Goodbye.